Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So happy December, friends. It is finally here and it is time to start on December daily. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys working on the first few stories in my album. So I actually did my cover page, my title page, whatever we want to call it, off camera. I was just trying to get my bearings, get my scrappy mojo going. And so I worked on that one off camera. I'll show you really quickly. You'll see it here and there a little bit more in this video. And also, just as a side note, over on Instagram at Leilani_scraps, I'm sharing all of my pages in a little more detail so you can see the journaling, read the journaling, see more of the details in case you are interested. So we are going to start here with story number 1. So for this one, I'm talking about getting out the Christmas decor, decorating the house, getting all of the holiday vibes going on. And this is typically my first story, or at least one of my first stories every year. I feel like it sets the tone for the album and gets you in the spirit. At least it does for me. And definitely decorating is like the first thing that we do around here. Once it starts to be even, just the very, very, very beginnings of the holiday season, like in November, I'm ready to get the Christmas stuff going. And I like to have plenty of time to decorate over time so that I can ease myself into it and I don't have to stress too much and all of that. So in November, I took several photos as I was decorating, mostly of my kitchen area, but like we have one big kitchen and living room area basically. So that's where the bulk of our decorations go. So I have a few pictures here, and I knew for this layout, so I had rough ideas, like little sketches in my mind of sort of what I wanted to do for these first few stories, but I'm keeping everything pretty simple, and I just want to have things where I'm not stressed out to scrapbook, where I'm excited to get into the craft room, and I don't want to be too overwhelmed by the project. And it's not like I usually do anything too intricate or too interactive anyways, but I wanted to keep things fairly simple. And I did have a little bit of an idea of what I wanted to do. So I knew for this particular spread, I was going to do a large photo to start the book. And I wanted to have that over there on that left side. So I picked a picture there of my Christmas tree all lit up and looking pretty. And then on the right side, I knew that I wanted to do something with circles. So I have these circle templates from, I think I don't remember. I want to say like Simple Stories, but I don't think that's right. But I think it starts with an S. But I got them off of Amazon years ago, and it's just a little pack of circle templates. So they are in sizes that I don't have a circle punch for. So I think one's like a 4x4, a 3x3, maybe one in between, maybe 3.5 by 3.5. I'm not sure. But I printed off all of my photos a little bit bigger than those templates. And then you saw that I flipped the photo on the back. I use the template as, like I use my pen around it to give a rough sketch there. And then I cut everything out. And then I also used my circle punch for my little snowman that lights up there as well. Then I did the same thing with my journaling and some pattern paper, added my journaling on there. And now I just have like a cluster of circles. One thing that I feel like might have made this like pop and look better is if all of the circles, I would have just popped them on to some white cardstock and then adhered them all together. And I thought about that while I was doing it, but I just didn't end up adding the cardstock. And now I'm like, it might have made it pop a little bit more, but all in all, I think it's fine. It worked out and I'm happy with the layout style. So at first I add these couple bows on here. I do have like both of the die cut packs from the collection that I'm using, which is Simple Stories, hard candy. And so I do have a little bit more of a detailed look in my vlog video, my December vlog, if you haven't checked that out. But that's the collection that I'm using this year. And there's a lot of really cute little die cuts. So you'll see that I popped on those bows, but I am going to change those here in a few minutes. And now another thing that I'm doing this year for the very first time is embossing. Ask me why I have not embossed before. I think that is so crazy. It is so easy. It is so fun. I've seen it for years and years upon years and years now, and I have never, ever embossed anything in my life until this year. And this was so much fun. It's so easy. It's not even expensive. I grabbed a heat gun off of Amazon. I grabbed the Ranger embossing ink and one of the embossing powders. This is just gold. And I had a blast using it throughout these projects. So what I did was I grabbed out a ton of my alpha stamps and my number stamps. And my plan is that all of my numbers, I'm going to emboss each number for my album 1 through 25. I'm going to emboss those using the gold embossing powder. And then I may emboss other things throughout. You'll see that I have a few titles and things using the embossing powder, but I want all of the numbers to be gold and but to be all different types of styles and like fonts and all that kind of stuff, just depending on what works for each page and what stamp set I want to use. So here I needed one more photo. So I did print off one more to go along with my little design there. And then you'll see that I've added on a few stars as well. So that's something that I enjoyed using on the majority of the pages were these stars, which I just punched out of gold glitter paper. And I have a couple of different size star punches. So I just punched those out. And then I am using these enamel dots from... Also, these are from Simple Stories from the same collection, the Hard Candy collection, and I'm popping those into the middle, and I just thought that gave it a little something extra, and I really like the way that these pages look. I love that on the side with the large picture, I have a small cluster there with my number, with a little title that says Be Merry. I did add, I think I might have cut it out somehow, but I did add a small tab onto my number 1 as well. So then we got that one completed, and I love the way that that one ended up looking. Now we're moving on to story number 2, and this one is going to be a one-page story. So it's just going to depend on each story if I stretch it out into 2 pages like I did here for the decorating, or if I just keep it to 1 page. So the next 2 stories for 2 and 3 are going to be just one-off pages. So for this one, unlike the first story, so the first story I had a lot of pictures. So I was trying to think of a layout where I can incorporate several photos into that layout. For story number 2, I only had 2 photos. And so I knew that neither one of them needed to be like blown up really big or anything like that. But of course, I wanted to showcase my photos. So I thought that what I would do was I would actually kind of trim them out so that they were really skinny. And then I would use mostly just pattern paper and create a design to tell story number 2, which is all about shopping for the angel tree with my mom. So that's a tradition that we love to do, and we typically try to sign up every year. So this year we have an 8-year-old little girl, and she really wanted a Barbie dream house. So I said, say less, friend, we're getting that. So it was really fun to go there. We found a Barbie dream house. They also had a couple other things that were on like Black Friday sale, which was really cool. So we were able to get additional accessories and, got all the things on her list. And that just felt really good to give back a little bit. And it's a fun story to tell. So again, I only had a couple pictures. So I snapped a really cute picture of my mom with the shopping cart, and then also like an up close of some of the goodies. So I've done this style of layout before. I'm sure many people have. And I just cut my photos into strips. So I printed them off at a regular 3x4 because I wasn't sure exactly the size that I wanted to cut them down to. But then I just cut them like into little, like more narrow pieces there. And then I cut out a piece of pattern paper to also be the same size. And then I backed them all on white paper. So I have all of that ready. And then I knew that I needed my number 2. So I grabbed out a different number stamp set for the 2. It's just the first one, or the one that I use for the number 1 is a really old one from Allie Edwards, and it's like a really chunky, I love that stamp set. I think it was a December Daily stamp set from many, many years ago. This one I think is from Ellie's Studio, and it's kind of just a more traditional, just standard number, but I really like this number 2. It's so satisfying to do the embossing. Look at it go. And then we have that ready. So then I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to pop it on into the middle. I also looked through the die cuts from Simple Stories, and I found some little presents. So I thought I'd put the prezzies at the top to go with, shopping. So I really liked the way that that looked. And then I have my journaling, and I'm going to place that underneath these 3 columns. So as a standalone, I don't think that this spread is really anything too special. It's super simple. It gets the job done. But I think as a whole, once you're flipping through the entire album and you're looking at each spread together as the whole of the season, I think it looks really nice. Like, I think it complements the next page that I'm going to do and all of that. So it was a success. So I'm going to pop on my number 2 here in a second, pop on my presents at the top, and then I'm going to have my journaling underneath it, and just very happy to get this story told. So all 4 of my first stories, I was thinking, are they could almost be pre-December stories. So they were kind of like before anything truly happened from this season. And I always like to have a few of those stories ready when the season starts. I think most of us do just naturally have those, like decorating the house. We always do that in November. And also shopping for the angel tree, we were mostly doing at the end of November as well. And then my next 2 stories are a lot like that, because we're going to talk about Starbucks drinks. So a lot of us, we're starting to drink those Starbucks drinks, especially the holiday ones, as soon as October changes to November and there's no more fall drinks or whatever. We're moving into the holiday flavors. So that's something that's easy to document right at the beginning. And then I have one about our Christmas cards. So another thing that, of course, I ordered early so I can get the Christmas cards out. So I like to have a few stories like that ready to go at the beginning of the season, just to get me going and to get me ready to start my album. And then, of course, throughout the season, I'll have more like things that will continue to happen, as the month continues. So here I decided, I was really going back and forth about my journaling. I knew I had to paste it onto something. So I was kind of going back and forth of what I wanted to do, but I ended up using just white cardstock. I added my sticker paper on there, and then I did round the corners a little bit, and I'm going to pop that on. I wanted some other embellishment, so I ended up finding this Oh What Fun. So I'm going to use my foam dots and pop that up. Now, I wish I knew where I got this foam. If anyone recognizes it, I know it just looks like little squares, but it is so thin, you guys. It is the thinnest foam adhesive I have ever seen. So if you recognize this, or you know where to get really, 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 really thin foam adhesive, let me know. Like if it's on Amazon, I was trying to look on Amazon, but I swear I didn't see any that looked that thin. And I'm fearing that I got this one off of scrapbook.com, which that's fine. And I will definitely reorder it. But I wanted something to get here super soon because I don't have much of it left. And I really love it because it's so thin that I'm able to pop a few things up on the foam without like making my book crazy thick. So I don't know. I would love to find it again. So we're done. I added the little sweet season sentiment to the bottom and a couple other small embellishments there, and we're calling that one done. So my third story, like I mentioned, is all about Starbucks. So this is always a story that I like to tell every year. I think it's a lot of people's like a story that they tell. And I love talking about the holiday drinks, and I definitely talk about the ones that we're enjoying. But also I love to tell this story because it's all about me and my mom. So I definitely we are besties, as I'm sure you guys know if you've been a part of my channel at all. But my mom's my best friend, and we spend a lot of time together. We're neighbors. We live on the same property. So basically, anytime we have to leave the house, we're going to go together. So any errands we have to run, we're just going to do it together. Any doctor's appointments that we have to go to, or she goes to, especially, I take her to all that kind of stuff. So we're just always together. And a lot of times we love to stop and get a coffee. So not only do I love talking about, the holiday offerings and things like that, I love to just tell the story of me and my mom hanging together. So that's mainly what this story is about. Now here, I went a little crazy and I completely covered, this is one of those drink cozy thingies that they give you at Starbucks for the hot drinks. And I went a little crazy and covered it in red line tape because for some reason I was thinking that I wanted to put this thing on diagonally. I'm trying to make a pocket. And I was thinking that I wanted to put it on diagonal, and I don't know why, but luckily I didn't end up doing that, and I just make it a lot more simple, and I'm really happy that I did that. So you're going to see that as we continue. But right now I have added my photo, and one layout that I love to do for December daily, especially, I loved it in the 10 by 8 and I love it in the 6 by 8, is to do like this large photo with a little bit of pattern paper left and add my journaling and things onto that pattern paper. And that's been something that has continued to be like a great layout for me and an easy one. And I can kind of change it up and do it a lot. So you're going to see that over and over throughout my my book. So here's where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So you can see that I've adhered down my photo. I've adhered down a little bit of transparency. So I just cut out my transparency to fit just over the pattern paper there that says fa la la la. And then I added some red line tape to the around the edges of it to create a little pocket. And then I'm going to take this Starbucks little drink cozy and I'm going to place it here in the middle, and it had red line tape on it, and it's going to be the top of my pocket. So I'm really glad that I ended up doing it like this and I didn't add the whole thing. I think the whole thing could have been cool if maybe I had more real estate, like if I was using a 10 by 8 album, but for this particular size, I think it looked better smaller. And I always love every year I always keep a bunch of my cups and try to incorporate them in different ways. But this year I ended up just using the cozy, and I'm happy about that. Now, at some point, I turned my camera off for a second and then I forgot to turn it back on. But all I did was I just made a little tag. So I just tried to kind of measure my pocket, cut a strip of paper to fit in there, and then I just made it into a tag at the top, and I'm adding on my journaling. So I typed up my journaling, popped it on sticker paper onto the front of the tag, and then on the back of the tag, I'm going to do a little more embossing, and I'm going to spell out gingerbread chai because that's one of my favorite drinks to get during the season. So you're going to see me do that here in just a second. And of course, I'm going to have to emboss my number as well. Also with my photo, I realized, I don't have a picture of like mine and my mom's drinks or anything like that. Sometimes I'll try to take one like when we're walking around shopping or something. So this year I just grabbed my drink whenever I was almost done with it and I placed it in front of the Christmas tree. So that's always kind of an easy go-to. And then you can have all the pretty lights and the ornaments kind of showing through of your Christmas tree, which I think is really nice. So again, I'm about to emboss a title, and I am so obsessed. So this is the first color of embossing, powder that I have, of course, because like I said, this is the first time I've ever embossed. So I need to get like one of those little easy, like little caddy things that Allie uses Allie Edwards, that she uses to keep everything tidy, or maybe put a piece of paper under whatever I'm working on. Like, I'm new to this, but I just simply spill it all over my desk, and then I just push it back into the container and it works out fine. But yeah, it's been so much fun, and I'm really, really interested in getting some other colors, some brighter fun colors, and embossing like in my summer junk journal and in October daily and stuff. I totally think that it could be so fun for so many projects. So I'm actually really excited about it. Like, this is one of my favorite things that I've done in a while. I do have this little like unused paintbrush there that I think I heard Allie say you could keep one by you to just kind of like dust some of the little pieces away. So I've done that, and that's helped a lot if there's any like just big clump of additional embossing powder that's in the wrong spot or whatever. But yeah, it's really nice. It's really easy. And I know, like, I think in 2022, I got the mink, which was something that Allie was using. And I didn't really realize what it was. And it was difficult for me to use. And it didn't work in the way that I wanted it to. I think if you were printing off journaling and then running all that through the mink and stuff, it would be better. But for what I want, I really just want to stamp and have it look like this. So the embossing is absolutely perfect. And I'm just really excited about it. Like, it's so easy. I can't believe it. So you can see that I got the gingerbread chai written on the back of the tag, and then I am using a different font here, and I don't know whose stamp set this is, if it's maybe Allie or maybe Ellie's Studio, I'm not sure, but it is kind of a fanciful one, so I don't know if it would be Ellie Studio. But anyways, I use that for my title page for the 25, and I'm also using it here for the 3. So I'm trying to kind of figure out what I want to do. I think I'm just going to place this with a little bit of the foam adhesive on the top of the cup. And then before I place it down, I grab a little die cut and I kind of go back and forth trying to figure out which die cut I want to use. I'm going to eventually grab one of those bows that I was going to use on the first page and didn't end up using. So we're going to get that all into place here. And then I'll be able to have my 3rd story told, and I absolutely love it. So very excited to have this done. At first I was trying this little ornament, which I think is cute, but I think there's too much green. I like the pop of red, so I add that on, and I love the way that it looks. So I really enjoyed this page. I'm going to pull off this little gold star that I had already put onto the bow. I think it was just peeking through a little bit, and it was kind of unnecessary. And then, of course, I had to grab a little bit of ribbon. This is one I think I got from Target a couple years ago, and I love that it has pink and red incorporated in it. So I'm going to thread that through, put it in my little pocket there, and my 3rd story is done, which I love. Now, I came back the next day to work on my 4th and final story for this video, which is all about my Christmas card. So this year, I really have been trying to soak up all of even like the December holiday things and trying to do all the things that maybe I wasn't able to do last year. I couldn't really enjoy last year. So one of those things that kind of fell by the wayside was doing a Christmas card. So this year I thought, let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it fun, easy, light, simple. And let's just do like selfies at home, sitting on the couch with the dogs. So that's what I did. I found a couple different options for cards where I thought, okay, I could probably make this look like a photo booth strip. So this card in particular came from Simply to Impress, and it just had a place for 5 photos. But I thought, well, if we do this kind of photo booth looking strip and then I make all the photos be black and white, it probably would look pretty close to a photo booth strip on the card. And it turned out really good. So I'm really pleased with the card. And so I did have the color version of some of my favorite photos there of me and Will from our photo shoot. So I put those into a collage app. I use Diptyque. I'm sure there's so many different ones, but I've used that one for like 10 years or something. And, I just made all 3 of those photos like stack on top of each other so I could print them off as one picture. And you see that I, again, printed it off a little bit smaller so that I could have like a part of my spread open. So I ended up just opting for white paper, and then I was going to use different embellishments to make things pop off of there. So I only did the photos for like roughly half of the spread and then the white paper for the other half. Also, I cut my paper a little wonky, but I knew that I was going to use, or I was thinking I was going to use this border sticker that came on the 12 by 12 sticker sheet from Simple Stories Hard Candy. So it didn't even matter because that was able to straighten out the wonkiness there. So I popped that on. I'll punch my holes in that section. And then you see that I have my journaling. Also, the little wreath is one of the embellishments, obviously, the die cuts. And then I just used a little piece of pink paper from a different embellishment. And I did the same thing with my embossing powder. And you can see that I picked a very much smaller number there. I think that's from Ellie's Studio, and popped on my number 4, or embossed my number 4. Then I found 3 little labels or label tabs also from the die cut pack. And I just stamped on Right Now with my roller phrase stamp. And I'm going to put those underneath each one of the photos. I was kind of considering, you can see that over on the right side of the frame, I have a couple of the tags from the tag sheet from Simple Stories. I have those kind of cut out. You can see the tops of the tags. I was thinking maybe I would put those behind my photo, but it took up too much space. So I opted for the little label tabs, and those worked out really well. I also found a sticker that was from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet that said "Sending Holiday Cheer," which I thought, okay, this is perfect. And then I'm going to add my journaling straight onto the white paper. And I really, really love the way that this ended up turning out. Now, before I do that, though, I thought, you know what? Let me punch the holes and make sure that for some reason, they're not in some weird spot that I wasn't expecting, but they were great. So then I'll add on my journaling, but I'm just trying to be more aware of what I'm doing, because a lot of times I just stick things down, I go, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think about that a little bit more, So I'm just trying to take it a little slower. So I'm going to move this sticker down a little bit. I'm going to put my number 4 on top of there, just getting everything into place. And then I'm going to add a few small embellishments over to my actual Christmas card. And then this one will also be done. So I like that I incorporated the white cardstock. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that, but there's only like a small handful of the pattern papers from this collection that I'm really comfortable with making like a background paper, because some of them are, of course, way more wild and busy of patterns that I'm kind of comfortable with using like for the whole background. So I thought, well, if I use white paper sometimes, I think I'm going to like incorporate white paper in the backgrounds every now and then, like every few spreads. So then it's like a little less to look, less aggressive for your eyes, but then I can use a lot of the fun embellishments as pops of color. So I like that. I'm also still going along with the gold star motif. So I punched out 3 of those and I added the same little enamel dots into the middle of them, adding a couple other embellishments here and there. Then I'm going to adhere one side of my Christmas card there onto some transparency, just so that I don't have to punch any holes into the Christmas card itself. And then I wanted to leave a little bit of extra transparency. Like I wanted it to be really thick over there on the side. So I trimmed it down a little bit, but I'm going to punch my holes in the transparency. And then you can see that I left it like a little bigger than just your standard like little adhesive strip to pop something in. And I just thought that that would visually look nice, like whenever I do story 5, and you'll be able to see a little bit peeking through. So I like that idea. And then I just wanted to spice up my card a little bit. So I grab out my really small stars, which are just with like a handheld star punch from Amazon. And I'm using my little glue pin. And then I'm going to pop in some of these stars into these larger circles there, like the O's on my card. And then I had these tags that I had mentioned before. So I'm going to adhere them back to back so that I get the color and pattern that I want. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of red line tape, and I'm going to add that onto my card as well. And that's just completely for a little visual interest. But also, since this is a little bit of a smaller page that's going to go into my album, I'll be able to use the tab or the part of the tag to flip it. So then the other side of this card will be used in story number 5. So there you have it. These are my first 4 stories. I'm super happy with them, and I'm so excited to be starting December Daily, you guys. And I'm planning on sharing all of my stories over here throughout the month, along with the flip through at the end of the season. So I hope that you will follow along. I'm going to give you a quick little flip of what we worked on today, but I'm happy with it so far, and I'm so excited to see everything that you guys create throughout the month as well. So if you enjoyed this process video, please give me a like, and please also consider subscribing. And of course, I will be back at you super soon with more fun videos. Have a great December, friends. Bye, y'all.